lick back. Get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your dish splat. Stop letting this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX. J-Way. I'm a perfectionist. Adderall got me restless. I'm gone. Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck. Into the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host, Coach, and we waste no time. We get right into the off-season talks. We're not going to dive too deep. We're going to save some of that for obviously the postseason or after the postseason is over. But never too soon to start talking about developing and improving because we're thirsty to make it to the very end of this thing. The Tigers just barely scathed their way into the postseason and managed to get all the way to the ALDS. So they defeated the Cleveland Indians in improbable fashion, and then we took Seattle to the brink of elimination. And 15 innings into that last game, and now they're smoking Toronto Blue Jays boots. So yeah, if that doesn't motivate you, that damn it, we should be there right now. I don't know what does. But Coach, how are you feeling? What are your thoughts about Seattle handling their business right now? They were supposed to be tired rolling into Toronto.
That's what happens when your guys don't get hurt. They're available. I don't know. I'm just kind of indifferent about it. I mean, they finished as the top two teams in the American League, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, the fact that it's these two guys going at it, I guess, just kind of proves that the pudding was valid for the regular season, that there wasn't a fluke with that and pretty much everyone else in terms of how they finished so far for the most part, aside from the Dodgers on the other side, have pretty much progressed based on how they finished in the regular season. So I've not really watched any of it. I probably won't watch any of the rest of the championship series. The last 2-3 months have been a roller coaster in every way, shape, and form. And frankly, I'm just a little baseballed out. But needless to say, the end of the way it ended for us, disappointing. Same spot as last year. Similar situation with an elimination game in School of the Mound that we were not able to clutch for him and for the team. So a lot of questions heading the offseason. And I know we're going to get right into some of them for in-house coming up here. But, there needs to be some changes going forward. We can't run it back with 90% of the same guys that we've had year over year the last 2 years. Something's got to change.
Yeah, so we've compiled a list of everybody that is up for free agency. And we decided to do grades on them and then talk about, who, we would like to be made as a priority as a possible re-signing candidate. Where is my list? Okay, I'm like, why did I put it? Okay, so yeah, we're going to go straight down the list of guys that are potential free agents, and then we'll give grades and why, and whether or not we want to try to retain them. We're going to start it off at the top, I guess, with Gleyber Torres. What do you give him as a grade, as a full body of work?
Gleyber?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say a B. Just above average. Probably was trending in the B plus, A minus range at the All-Star break, but the second half he faltered. And then come to light that he was dealing with a hernia after the fact, and probably explained some more of the downward trend in the postseason, but overall, B.
That is exactly the grade that I gave him. I definitely was leaning more towards a B minus, but I'm going to definitely give him some grace with the hernia. I mean, that's pretty serious, very painful, I would imagine, especially if you're playing a strenuous sport like baseball where you're putting so much effort and having to throw and swing a bat. So, I commend him for pushing through. Some people say, hey, that's a perfect opportunity where you could have brought up a Kevin McGonigal. I mean, you're talking about a whole month, but that would have been pretty overwhelming and kind of a stretch. I'm glad that we were able to. I mean, because he played relatively well. I mean, when you think about the guys that really, I mean, he struggled pretty bad, but he had his moments even throughout the postseason. So yeah, overall, I give him B. The next person is retention. What do you? We talked we talked pretty extensively offline. What is your interest? Does it involve how much money he would be asking for? What?
I mean, you have to. I mean, it's a twofold kind of response. You mean you've got Colt for another 4 years locked up, guaranteed. I mean, if you give an extension more than a year, I mean, you're looking at potentially trading Colt then. We went into the offseason and his signing announcement, and I said, I just don't believe his offensive numbers are going to translate anywhere close. And being in Comerica Park compared to Yankee Stadium, and frankly, that happened over the course of a 162 game schedule. And he was just a little bit better offensively with some power and RBI production compared to Colt. But in terms of defense, they're both, I would say average might be pushing it a little bit. They both do within their immediate area of space okay, but outside of that, in terms of range and arm strength and all that, they both are kind of graded below average. So I don't really have any interest in bringing back a guy that's doing a lot of the same stuff that another player's position already is locked up long-term for a value deal. So it would lead me to think that by doing that, they'd block another player that they already have who's younger and less expensive. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm indifferent. I'd say no and let him go somewhere else. I'll overpay, but I think that might be a little early right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got Colt that he would be kind of blocking, and then you also got a couple other young infielders, Hyu Lee, Max Anderson, Kevin McGonigal, guys that can factor into that middle infield role. I'm not 100%. I mean, it's kind of time for Colt to start, showing whether or not he's going to be a everyday type player. I mean, you certainly have instilled the trust in him and extended him. So, it's probably about that time to take over. But yeah, I mean, it's when you compare his stats to the New York stats with him having pretty much the same amount of at bats. I mean, he increased. He cut down on his strikeouts. His average was about the same, 257 compared to 256. But he had 11 more RBIs and one more home run in a much less hitter-friendly ballpark. So I think he did overall show that he has the ability, even in a quote-unquote pitcher's park, that he can still produce and hit for some power. But he did slow down quite a bit towards the second half of the year, and certainly once the hernia came into play, he slowed down a lot more. So, indifferent. If for some reason he's willing to give us a nice, I doubt that he'll give us a short-term deal or a 1 year deal. So the likelihood is he'll take the money somewhere where they're, they need some more stability in their lineup. So yeah, I'm at peace with that. I appreciate everything he did, and he certainly helped us, especially early in the year when we were on fire. He was a big part of that. So the next guy we're going to talk about is Rafael Montero. He was acquired at the trade deadline from Atlanta. What is your grade for him?
He kind of went under the radar for a bit because he came in. I think he had a good outing and then a poor one. And then after that, I think at one point for a week and a half, he just was pretty good. It's trying to see. Unfortunately, I don't tell you when they. Let's see. We got him. Okay. So
You
yeah,
could
he
use
gave up.
splits and start in August because the trade deadline was July 31st.
Yeah, he had 2 out of his first 3 outings were not that great. Gave up 4 runs of those 3, but after that, he settled down pretty well. Got roughed up in Miami. I think that was the.
School game.
I thought it's the school, maybe the day after the school game, but he pitched in back-to-back days against Miami, and that threw everyone off the rest of the weekend of that series. But then he settled in. You know, he didn't see any of the action against the Guardians in the playoff first round, and gave up only just the 1 run in Game 5 against, Game 1 against Seattle. 2 hits, 1 run, a walk, 10 pitches. Technically a blown save, but yeah, I don't know. I'd say, I don't know, C plus, B minus. He did well out of a place in need, just a little bit above average.
Yeah, I gave him a C plus. Yeah, he started slow, but yeah, he settled down. Like you said, he didn't get a lot of playing time in the playoff time, in the playoffs. But I think that the key for him was throwing strikes. Once he put that first runner on with a walk, it got dark for him. But overall, he was pretty good. He's a veteran. He's got experience in the playoffs, and he's another guy that could induce some ground balls. So I think that you bring him back with a couple other guys, and he's solid. If he's your low leverage guy, your first guy first guy out the pen, not bad. He pitched better in Detroit than he had hit the first half of this Atlanta Braves season. So yeah, C plus. C plus. The next one goes without saying. I don't know if you have if there's any more to talk about, but Alex Cobb.
I don't even know. I don't think I ever saw him in a Tigers uniform on TV, like at all. I don't even know what the dude looks like. That's how little face time this guy had. But boy, did he cash in on a free $20 million. But I got to imagine that he's going to medically retire at the end of the year. He couldn't get it going in Toledo. Ran into stamina issues, setbacks. Congrats on $20 million free and clear.
Yeah, that's nice. I guess I could have put him as an incomplete, but we'll just, for all intents and purposes, you get $20 million. You can stomach an F on your report card. Tommy Kahnle.
D, and it's largely tied to the second half of the season, and really his failures came probably right around right around the trade deadline, September on, and I know he had a couple outings where he was all right after that, including postseason, but the fact that this management allowed a guy that was failing so miserably, so horrifically, to keep throwing him out there because they had no one else really. You're telling me there's no one in the minors, no one that we hadn't called up yet that was better than what he was doing down the stretch in games that he blew for us? I mean,
Kahnle seemed like a vibes guy. I think he was somebody that was always a popular, I think he was more of a vibes guy. But yeah, you can't tell me that Chase Lee or Dylan, what was his name, Dylan Smith? Tell me Dylan Smith couldn't have been better than that? I highly doubt.
And he's a two-pitch.
He kind of had this look on his face like, are you sure? Are y'all sure you want me to go? All right. But you said his struggle started around the trade deadline. I think he had like a good month before it got. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it seemed he was amazing the first up until like June. After that, boy, it got bad. Remember July that he had a 20. It was like a 40 ERA in July or something.
He had in July, he pitched 7 innings, 16 hits, 16 runs, all earned, 4 home runs, 7 walks to 5 strikeouts in 20 batters faced, a 19.64 ERA with 3 losses, a blown save, a win, and a save in that month alone. But yeah, August was 4.5 ERA and only 8 innings. Looks like he settled down in September with a couple holds, a couple losses, and a blown save, and then gave up some runs in the playoffs in looks like 2 of the 4 outings,
including the final and what the final run that we gave up, right?
Yeah, 2 hits and a walk. Recorded 1 out in 2 batters faced, but did he inherit? Yeah, he inherited, didn't he?
Probably didn't
Maybe.
start. He might, I think he had a clean. I don't know. I want to say it was a clean start to the inning. It was just the 15th.
You're right. Years. He faced 5 batters and recorded 1 out of all 5 in that. So,
yeah, I gave him a D plus because he did have such a great start to the year. That earned him the plus. But yeah, D plus wasn't good. As far as free agency, he might retire. I don't know. He's like Maeda. He'll get another crack. He'll get another crack somewhere probably. But yeah. So the next guy is Paul Sewald. We traded for him at the deadline. I put incomplete by him. I think he made a out. He was in an outing or two. He was in an outing or two before the playoffs started, and then we never saw him. And unfortunately, he had to witness his old team, Seattle, celebrate, winning the game.
Looked I mean, a lot of the guys, don't get me wrong, looked, they're wearing it the whole year on their face. It's all coming to a head. But he was out there for almost the entire celebration. You can't tell me that destroyed him. He was the only, by that point, like 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, they were taking the picture. They had their shirts and hats on already at that point. And he was still at the top step of the Detroit visiting dugout there.
He may have been imagining that he was in it.
Well, I mean, who was it last year? That happened last year with another player. I don't know if it was Jazz Chisholm in the World Series losing to the Dodgers. Stayed out there for almost an hour because after, a couple days or whatever it was later, they were asked about it because the picture kind of went viral on Twitter X. And he's like, I wanted to remember full well what this pain of falling short feels like. So
they always say that, but it's like, it doesn't always work like that.
When I prepare in the off season, I know how hungry I need to be and my teammates need to be in order to, remove as much possibility of us losing for the upcoming season. But that's, for a lot of guys, it's gonna be one of 2 things, right? You either peel out like hell and get the hell out of there because you just don't want to be around there, or the other side of that, you just soak it in and let it become as painful as possible as a reminder of what falling short feels like going forward.
Or you just take it out on the umpires as they walk off the field like the San Diego Padres did. Real class. Let's get to the first break. And then
Did you see that Iglesias got suspended 1 game for that?
I did see that, yeah. They won't be at opening day.
Oh,
Iglesias. I can't believe Iglesias was a part of it. I'm like, what? Not my dog.
Watch him retire. With the 1 game.
Yeah, you owe us a game. All right, let's get to the first break.
Yeah.
All right, who we got next? Oh, Kyle Finnegan. I'll let you go first.
For who?
Kyle Finnegan.
Oh, Finnegan. Damn. I'm gonna say A- here. That might be a little higher than what you may have projected him at. And I was kind of thinking B+, but man, he had 1 or 2 outings where he gave up some runs. Everything else was clean, including one of the best consecutive innings pitched without allowing a run or earned run on a new team after being traded. It was like 16, 17 innings. He was phenomenal, and frankly, we needed it badly. He was great for us, A-.
Yeah, so I gave him a B+. I think that if he doesn't have that IL stint right before the playoff starts, and I probably shouldn't hold this against him, but he did have some struggles on the other end of that, which prevented him from getting an A. But yeah, I mean, he kind of continued that success into into the playoffs, and he was, one of the go-to guys as well. He did give up a run in that school game five, did he?
Yeah, but that's also tied into the controversy that he probably never should have been in that inning to begin with, and that should have been Scooble pitching the 7th inning of Game
You know
5.
what? Did he start the inning, or did he come in to help to relieve somebody?
Scooble was lifted after 6, and then that's when.
It went from Finnegan to Holton, right? Or did it go from Holton to Finnegan?
Let's see here. I'm pulling up the box score here now.
We must
Scooble went 6 2/3. Finnegan came in and pitched 2/3, allowing the hit and the earned run. And then Holton came in for a third, gave up the other hit that was considered the blown save. So both of them kind of combined gave up that second run collectively.
Okay. So yeah. So I gave him a B+ overall, but I think that he needs to be at the top of priorities as far as guys to bring back. He's still pitching at a pretty high level. We have Will Vest. I mean, he has the ability to close. He's got like probably hundreds of saves within his last 3 years. So he's still pitching at a high level. I think he had like 40 some saves with the Nationals last year. The Nationals weren't even good. So, but yeah, interchangeable with Will Vest. He's a good guy that you can bring in at a number of different times. If you need a ground ball, he's the guy. He's the guy that you can go to and depend on. He went all those innings before he gave up one on the IL and gave up that run. And that splitter, once they incorporated him using that splitter more, it reaped benefits for the team. So high priority to sign. One of the few out of all of these on here. The next guy is Chris Paddock.
F.
Okay.
I mean, it just still blows my mind that we started him 3 times, two for sure, if not 3 times against his former club. We sold ourselves by trading for him and starting in those spots. I mean, he was awful. There's no two ways about it. I mean, this was part of the quantity, not quality, and showed what happened when you don't really value quality that much. You'll get quantity and runs against, and that's what happened with Chris Paddock. Another swing and a miss by Scott Harris at the deadline.
Yeah, so he was the reactionary selection after Reese Olson got hurt, as if there wasn't enough going on. It would have. I mean, can you imagine if we had Reese Olson down the stretch? He was probably our best. Well, no, not our best statistical pitcher, but he had a sub-3 ERA up to that point. But Chris Paddock, his starts his starts against Minnesota were pretty, monumental in the wrong direction. He did have a decent start or two, which is why I gave him a D-. It was a D-, but yeah, certainly unpitchable in the playoffs, and that's why he didn't make the playoff roster. But yeah, I can't give him a complete F, although I'm not mad at you for going the F route. It was pretty bad. You still with me? The last guy on our list of free agents is Tomas Nido. Oh, you back? Okay. So the last guy on our list is Tomas Nido. He was given a minor league contract in the springtime, and he was pretty good. He was pretty solid in spring training, and Jake Rogers did get injured in May or June, and he got a couple of cracks. Got one good look at the major leagues, and he was solid. He continued to hit well, and he played good defense. He was the emergency catcher in the playoffs. We got to see him celebrate with each and every advancement, and he was in the dugout as well. But overall, I gave him a B because he pretty much did his job as far as free agency and bringing him back. Chris Paddock, you know. As far as Tomas Nido, I would love to bring him back in another minor league contract, although I think it's time to open up a roster spot for Eduardo Valencia, who had the amazing year catcher and first base. So he's going to need a 40-man. I don't think Tomas Nido. I don't think he by the end of the year is on the 40-man roster. But I mean, if you can find some way to Valencia on the 40-man roster and keep Tomas Nido, why not? Keep in mind that Josue Briseño is also going to be making his debut in Toledo, if not at the very beginning of the year, very soon after. So you got some more guys coming up the pipeline. So we'll see what they do with Tomas Nido, but certainly nothing more than a minor.
Yeah, for Nido, I'd almost say like incomplete. Like 10 games isn't really enough to go off of, but to your point, I mean, in limited action, he delivered. Not overwhelmingly powerful. 12 hits, all singles, 2 RBIs, 10 strikeouts, no walks. But 343, 704 OPS. I mean, he had actually a negative WAR overall, but like you said, he was just there for offense. Honestly, just a bat. So.
And one day a week, because of course Dingler took all the.
Yeah, I mean, he mostly came up when Jake went down, pretty much. That was the bulk of it. Yeah. He's not on the 40-man right now, but I'd be hard-pressed to believe that someone isn't going to give him a professional tryout or, major league level type roster tryout spot and leave. I would be shocked if no one offers anything close to that heading into next season. Because if that's not the case, then he would stay. He'd be pretty much free to sign with any other free agent, minor league team he wants to, not being on the 40-man. So he's got flexibility, and to your point about bringing up some of the other guys, we can do that without any impact to him or the 40-man. But I would imagine if that's the case, that he ends up signing somewhere else. Doesn't want to play backup to a prospect.
Yeah, and I kind of thought that we would lose him at the end of the spring as is. So, because did he win a Gold Glove in New York? Maybe he didn't win a Gold. He might want a Gold Glove in New York. So, he's obviously a little older, a little longer in the tooth, but he's a solid number 2. It just so happens that Jake Rogers kind of has that seniority and kind of has that rapport with the team, but. We'll see what happens next year because it's about time that the torch is passed. It's not bringing too much to the squad besides another vibes guy.
Yeah, to your point, he finished second in his position for Gold Glove in 2022, only falling to JT Realmuto.
Okay, yeah. That was a couple years ago, but. Yeah, nonetheless. So, we don't have to get into any particular. We don't have to get into particular players, but what do you think is our highest, or what do you think we should be prioritizing going into the offseason?
Did you want to touch on the other 2 guys that have options?
Oh, go ahead, because I don't need to let me know who it is because that was the end of that.
So I think this one we'll do first, just because it might seem a little more cut and dry here, and not really controversial or anything. So the team has a club option for Jose Urquidy for next year. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't think it's that much money, honestly.
It is actually. Hold on, let me look.
More than $10 or anything like that. I thought he had a lot of incentives in terms of innings, pitch, and all that. Added in, but let's see here.
Includes a $4 million club option for
$4 million dirt cheap, yeah. Which contains performance bonuses, which obviously he didn't touch this year for $1 million, but
but next year he'll be healthy.
Yeah, I mean, club
His,
option. I think they honestly can find better options even at $4 million. I don't really. He was very. What did he do? 2-3 outings this year when he came back in September and didn't see the playoffs.
Right. Well, you said dirt cheap, so I was thinking, okay, well, you mean that we should pick it up, or we might pick it up?
It's I for the value, it makes sense. Is there other guys out there who will be? I mean, because mind you, he spent all year pretty much getting ready to play at the last month.
Yeah,
So
that's why it's hard to say whether or not we can find better options.
I mean, you can find younger for sure. I just don't know what you're going to get out of him in the next year. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the club option kind of lets me think that Hinch, knowing that the most of this year was a wash, that a club option means if you showed us anything, then we could possibly pick it up. Because it's not gonna, like you said, it's not gonna be any more than, it's not gonna be any less than 4 million. But I mean, the incentives I think all together equal another $1 million. Yeah, it's 5, 3, and 150. So $950,000 is the most of more than it would be than the 4. If that makes sense. It's no more than 5. So I mean, it's probably worth bringing him back to Major League camp, because if he's healthy, maybe he's good. I think he was pretty good for Houston before he got hurt. So now that he's 100% healthy, we could use some arms we could use some early arms. Certainly, probably a better option than Tommy Canley. Might be a cheap replacement to Canley.
He's got 2 elbow surgeries in his career, including that one in 24. So,
okay.
He had one before he made his debut. He had TJ surgery in 2017. So his arm in terms of duress and stress is fairly older than his actual age.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their one, right?
I don't even want to coin that as something that's normal. It's a totally other.
It is now. It is now. Who hasn't? On our current staff? Who hasn't gone under the knife? We know Jackson.
I'm speaking more in generality, in the greater game, and in terms of what I'm hearing, even down at the high school level, and what may or may not be happening at the college level before you get to the majors. Yeah, we could probably do a whole episode almost on just pitching emphasis and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, cheap to bring back. Yeah, I think it's a win-win either way. If they don't and they find someone better, great. If not, they bring him back for fraction of what they would pay a guy of his range and past experiences.
Yeah, I mean, you got Jason Foley coming back. I don't know what the deal with Brisky is, or if he's even worth even talking about. But Alex Lang semi made a return as well. So, but it was late.
Good point, though. You never heard from him after he got pulled, basically 2 outings or 1 outing. That was it.
I mean, it wasn't a good outing. I know we were blowing the team out, and he came in there and tried to give the lead up. So they were like, scrapping for the year. And then also, who else? There's one more.
So we got. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Damn, what was his name? Sawyer Gibson-Long. He should be. I mean, I think he ended up going back on the IL one more time, but he's another person that we could possibly look into. But that's Jose Urquidy's Savant page. So a lot of soft contact, a lot of whiff out there as well. But for whatever reason, his control must have been bad because he walked a ton of people, and they were not ground balls. He was a lot of fly balls as well. But
take that with a grain of salt. I mean, he had 2 outings this year. So
2 games, 2 innings, 2 1/3.
Yeah.
7.71 ERA. So you get popped in those outings, but I don't know. Yeah, take that for what it is. I was just curious what he accomplished.
Yeah, no surprise. Former Hinch player in Houston too. So, the last one here that is a player option, and I was interested because I thought it was an automatically triggered extension when he hit the first marker of innings pitched or game start to trigger the first tier of it, somewhere around 10 to 15 million. And he reached his other marker to hit his 20 million for next year, but that's Jack Flaherty. There's a player option. I thought it was just an automatic trigger option, but he was quoted saying he's going to take some time to evaluate, the end of the season, talk with his family, and then make a decision. So for the meantime, it sounds like he could be considering retirement.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think there's any chance that he's trying to opt out and go somewhere else. That's more of a
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like this year really weighed on him a bit, and obviously regression from last year as a World Series champion and a guy who was considered probably one of the best arms to be acquired last year at the deadline at that time. And unfortunately, his time back here was not nearly as great as it was last year. Record-wise, everything not very good. Didn't pitch very efficiently this year, but I would, for him, since we're doing the grades, Flaherty, I'm going to say a C minus. More so the fact that he was available all year, one of the few pitchers in the last 2 years that has been available, but unfortunately, didn't really translate to as much success this year. But the option is in his hands, so I'm not even going to give an opinion one way or the other. I think I've been fairly adamant that they can do better without him, but it's balls in his court. So
yeah, you've been on pretty much on par with what with my grades. I was gonna give him a C minus as well. Obviously he made it known that he did not want to leave the first time. Worked out well for him. He was able to come back and able to make a nice chunk of change as well. He talked about all the guys that he saw, kind of improve. He likes what Riley Green has done. The turnaround that Torkelson has had, and a few other guys that I can't think of. But obviously he would have liked to been a bigger part. I mean, he was a part of it because he pitched the entire season and even was in had some very important innings down the stretch in Game 5 as well, and showed some, if nothing else, some grit, some toughness, because he kind of thugged it out, even though he was kind of, teetering on the brink of collapse a few times. But I'm sure he would have liked to push us to the same lengths that LA was able to get to, because he was not with us last year, and we took off and made it to the ALDS last year. So you can tell he cares, certainly does. And yeah, it seems like he kind of probably beat himself up a little bit about his play, but I think he's another guy I think that if he did retire, if he did opt out, for one, he kind of saves us a boatload of money. But and it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Oh, please come back." Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I would say please come back. We love you and all, but anywho, I mean, he was a big part of that first year, before, and he also was able to, he got us Trey Sweeney, he got us Ron Lorenzo, and Trey Sweeney was a big part of that run last year. So, overall, he did a lot for us. So, C minus, and we'll just have to see. I think he ultimately tries to, make it through that one more year. Even if his role drastically changes a little bit, because I think that when you bring back Reese, you bring back Job at some point, you hopefully sign an additional player. Hopefully Jack is not a high priority, but he was healthy the entire year, or he was able to get out on the field the entire year. We don't know what his actual physical state was, but he gave it his all. I gotta say that he gave it his all. Gave it his all. But yeah, let's take one more break, and then we'll see what we got left. The grades took a decent amount of time, so where are we at? All right. Did you have anything before I throw something out? Did you have anything in particular that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I was just looking at some of their overall season numbers, team numbers, and they finished, despite their record and blazing hot start to the year, they finished pretty much right around the middle of the pack in most of the team collective categories when it comes to pitching. And why am I saying pitching? Well, I think we all understand as Tiger fans that is the biggest area of need, not just the health of some of our starting pitchers that we lost throughout the year, but I mean, obviously our bullpen. I think that goes without saying. Anyone who is a general fan that's watched even a few Tigers games in the second half noticed, you guys need some help out of your bullpen. So, just briefly, they allowed 4.27 runs a game, not necessarily earned, just total runs. League average was 4.45. Their team ERA was 3.94. League average of 4.15. They had 40 saves, right on league average. Hits a little under league average, or a little better than league average allowed. Same with the runs allowed, a little over 20 runs, better than the league average. So, while they started, top 5 in a lot of categories for pitching and frankly offense too in that time frame heading into the All-Star break, I think it's safe to say that they were bottom 10 or bottom third the rest of the way out, and that's being fairly conservative considering they ended in the middle of the pack. So it tells you if they were top 5 in the first half, they would have had to have been bottom 5 most everything else. But pitching, I think, kind of eluded them. I'm sure, and we can talk to death about the runners in scoring position and lack of overall production from a power standpoint, although we did finish fairly well from a home run perspective. It just was scattered across, everyone else that wasn't named Torkelson, Riley, and, if we had a fully healthy Kerry Carpenter, those numbers are probably even higher. Kerry missed like 2 months again.
No, I think he had one stint. Okay, he did have one stint on that.
He missed at least 30 days. I mean, I'm putting him in the category of guys for next year on this team that are 1 year away from being tabbed as injury prone.
Well, yeah, he's already kind of got that. But.
Yeah, I mean, and not to jump the gun with any other guy or like anything else, but in terms of encompassing that point alone, I think Reese Olson falls in that category now. That's 2 consecutive years he's missed a whopping amount of the seasons. And Parker Meadows, second year in a row, he's been out for a chunk of time, and that's 2 of your what would have been heading into this year at least 2 of your starters in the outfield. So
the outfield was kind of a mess as far as center fielders between Wenzel Perez, Matt Vierling, and Parker Meadows. They all had a stint on the 60-day.
Yeah. So I mean, there's potential those guys, but they got to stay healthy. Same thing for the pitchers. So I think that we felt that in full this year on both sides. But yeah, not to digress too far from that, but yeah, pitching's got to be, I think, a big emphasis because whether they decide to spend on the bats, we'll see.
Right. So, okay. So I was going to, you touched on the pitching side of things. I 100% agree. That is something that is to be made a priority for, various reasons. But I want to touch on the hitter side of things. Obviously, we have a nice core of power hitters, guys that have the potential to, if they're healthy, hit 30-plus home runs a year. Torkelson, Green, Carpenter, kind of goes without saying. I think Torkelson and Green both got to 30 home runs, and Kerry got to 26. And Kerry, what he didn't handle in the regular season, he certainly handled in the postseason. He had a couple big home runs. And I think that he actually he made some strides that would suggest that he should get some lefty pitcher at bats next year. No, I got to give it to him. Well, who did he hit a home run against in the last game? Spire. He hit that big home run with Spire. So yeah, I think he's earned that. Him getting, especially with him being injured some of the year, he was left on the bench for every lefty starter, which took away some of those at bats and kept him from getting to that third home run, that 30 home run plateau. So that's that. But I would love to see us. I don't think we necessarily have to go for I don't think the big splash is there without giving up a major prospect. But I think you need another guy that is an option in the middle of that lineup. Torkelson and Green are solid. I would love to see them be better. First of all, they strike out between Carpenter, not so much Carpenter, but Twerk and Green strike out a boatload. I love that Scott Harris in that press conference came out and said, "I care immensely about those strikeouts." Somebody must have just
Good God.
I don't know. I don't know how it came up, but I think somebody just flat out asked him, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And he made it a point to say, "Nah, I'm not doing that." So that's that. But I would love to see somebody else, another threat in the middle of that lineup. That is a little bit. That's just better in high leverage situations. When we start talking about free agents, I will go into more detail about who I'm interested in. But just some more basketball skills. Unless Rodney Green makes some drastic changes to the swing, he's just going to be a guy that strikes out a boatload, and that's kind of okay because he does make pitchers pay when he does put the bat to the ball. But I'd love to see a guy that is more of a contact guy and somebody that's stronger with runners in scoring position. Kerry Carpenter was batted under 200. I think it was like 176 with runners in scoring position. So you saw a guy hit 26 home runs, but only had like 50, 60 RBIs. It's unacceptable if you're going to be in that. Unless you want to be a leadoff hitter, which he did do that. He's not the most speedy guy, and he's not really a contact guy. But unless you're going to be at the top of the lineup, you can't be batting in the middle, hitting 173. You're going to have too many 2-run games if your best power hitter isn't better than 170 with runners in scoring position. So, like I said, I got a couple people in the back of my head that I would like to see us go after, but just somebody that's not going to strike out as much because once you got guys on second and third base, if you can at least put the ball in play, get it to the outfield. So, a sacrifice strikeouts with runners in scoring position is going to take years off of Detroit Tigers fans' lives because you just can't stomach it. We got to do better. I would have loved for Wenzel Perez to be that next guy. Dingler is solid, but we've seen catchers have a drastic drop off. Rio Muto being one of them. The guy from the Orioles, what's his name?
Not
Weeders.
Adley Hutchman? No.
Yeah, Rushman.
Yeah. Switch hitter.
Yeah. Adley Rushman. Yeah. So so he was a great hitter last year, but we saw he lost his job to the young stud who they just went and paid. So that success comes and goes because the defensive side of it is so demanding. So Dingler was pretty solid all year. But we saw a vast decline from some of our guys. Ibanez wasn't as good this year. Thank God Jahmai Jones saved a lot. He's another guy that I feel has earned a few more opportunities. against the opposite, against the righties, whereas Kerry is with the lefties. So, but yeah, if we can go out and improve that, because not only am I not sold on Wenzel Perez being an opening day starter, I'm not sold on Parker Meadows either. Obviously, we know Max Clark is coming up the pipeline, so we don't want to, we don't want to block him with anybody long term. But if we plan on getting further next year, we have to start prioritizing just another bat that can put the ball in play. But I don't want to get too far into that. We're 50 minutes into the show. Any other things that you want to touch on before we get up out of here?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is with Parker, they've got team control, so they've got some flexibility in that aspect. To the same point, he needs to stay healthy. But yeah, there's still no rush on Max right now. The worst thing they could do is rush these guys up. And now you've got multiple guys in key positions that are fighting over partial playing time based on either who isn't hurt or who is producing just a little bit better. I would like to see some more stability in some of these guys next year in everyday roles and getting more ABs and more innings played to create a better rhythm and flow, because this year with a lot of all the pinch hitting, I feel like it was kind of fractured. Guys would start to get hot and then all of a sudden they would just drop off and they get pinch hit for. They'd sit a couple games over the next week or so and they kind of would, become pedestrian again. I think baseball is one of those sports where it's like, man, the more you play on a day-to-day basis, you can see improvement for the most part. Obviously, guys are gonna be struggling no matter what. Can't avoid it. It's gonna happen. But I feel like you put these players in a better position to succeed when they're seeing the field on a more regular basis and in full. To your point about Kerry and being pinch hit and all that. Yeah, damn it, I was proponent for the last year and a half about him seeing lefties on a regular basis.
He did his big one this postseason.
There's been no better clutch player in the last two postseasons that have delivered in bigger moments than he has. Dingler's had one or two this year, Zach one or two, but like those were the only hits those two guys had. They're not even close to the same boat. Still needed, but again, because everyone else was just as bad in the last 3-4 weeks of the season in the playoffs. But to your point about the K's and the chasing for most of those guys, do you feel that was mostly team driven by approach or by style from those individually? Because I feel like it's a little more approach driven from the staff.
To be super duper aggressive, and I thought that it was to dominate the strike zone, and I thought I didn't think it meant swinging at everything.
I mean, they were the most aggressive first pitch team, I thought, at least through the All-Star break, because it was mentioned on one or two of the national telecasts they had. Like, they were one of the most aggressive first pitch swinging teams compared to last year, which was kind of crazy. But
the Scott Harris philosophy was the guys, the on base guys and the walk guys. That's why you got your Max Clark who walks a ton. You got Kevin McGonigal walks a ton. I thought that's what he was kind of ushering in, but yeah, I don't know. I know it drove me insane. And and like I said, Scott Harris, if there was any question of whether or not he was, whether he was on par with what Riley, he emphatically said no. We're not gonna go that far. But but like you said about the guys that are that continuity and being everyday guys, I think it's time for Colt. Glaber will probably be gone, and it'll be time for Colt to take over because it's not going to be first base. Maybe you see him play some corner out. No, okay, all right, we're not going to do that. But he might. He's a pretty.
If we do, we're in trouble. If he has to, we're in trouble.
Yeah, if he has to, we're in trouble. But and yeah, now that I think that him coming back, he was in a bind. coming back off that injured list situation, and he certainly was. You want to talk about pedestrian? He gave us nothing in that Seattle series, but it'll be time because I think that we have a couple options at third base. For one, just to kind of tease a little bit, we got two hot hitting prospects, Kevin McGonigal and Max Anderson, playing in Arizona Fall League. They're playing all over the infield, but they're labeled as third base. So two guys that had great hitting years. Scott Harris also said that the guys that had great years at Erie will factor in some way to next year. So he established that. So that's your, possibly Briseños down the line, Max Clark, McGonigal, Max Anderson, guys like that. But he said that we also have to remain, there's a new standard involved, and we still have to remain competitive. So it's not just a full-on, a full-on purge into the youth movement, because we still have to, you can't depend on that many young guys to come in and just be World Series. I mean, that's a standard now. We playoffs is just an understood thing, and advancing beyond that. So, but yeah, it'll be time for, Colt to take over at a full-time position somewhere, which hopefully pushes McKinstry into a full-time utility role. And then third base is, going to be a toss-up between McGonigal, Anderson, Ayuli, whoever is hitting, and hopefully a bat somewhere. Hopefully whether it's a corner outfield guy or a true DH, you let Carpenter play right field depending on what bats you get, will determine whether or not he's playing every day or whether he's going to be splitting time in that corner outfield. But that creates a whole nother issue of, where Malloy goes. And if Jahmai Jones isn't here next year, don't get me started on that. He was our best hitter down the stretch. So, but yeah, so we'll figure out when the next show will be. The World Series won't start until what, the weekend? Not the weekend. It's a 7-game. The ALCS is a 7-game series, right?
Yeah. So I mean, at the latest, it would start probably sometime like midweek next week, potentially. At the latest, yeah, if they go 4 or 5 games, potentially early next week through this weekend, but we'll see. I'm not entirely. I'm pretty sure they're alternating AL NL for nights, anyways. So I would definitely say the latest by like this, maybe the weekend or Thursday, Friday next week. But yeah, certainly next week at some point.
Okay, so we still got some time before we start talking. Start getting into free agents and potential trade candidates, but we were able to flesh this out into a hour show as is. So, so yeah, please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers and also the Corner to Copa. That is where we are going to be going. We're going to start rolling out some prospect channels exclusively over there. So if you want to know anything about what's going on down on the farm, I mean, just as far as player profiles are concerned, that will be over at our new channel. I'm going to try to put the link into the comment section, and I'm going to start advertising at the beginning of the show, because I know sometimes people don't get all the way to the very end. But yeah, we're going to start pushing that pretty heavy, and then I feel like it wasn't too long ago we were talking about hot stove and winter meetings last year. So,
well, it's crazy. We already have a hiring already for managerial already.
What, you mean extension, or are you talking about major leagues?
Rangers signed Skip Schumacher out of there. He served 1 year in their front office supervisory or some advisory role. Basically, they were kind of grooming him, but he took over for Bruce Bochy formerly. But teams right now looking for managers: Atlanta Braves, LA Angels, the Twins, Giants, and confirmed today the Padres are parting ways with Mike Schilt. So the Padres will be the new skipper too.
Yeah, I think Pujols is
Yeah, for the Angels. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I would hate for that to ruin his, player image, but if it doesn't go well.
Can you ruin it? I mean, I don't know. Man, that's a whole other chapter, but.
Look at Stevie Eisman right now.
Oh, man, yeah. You forget that he was the man. That's crazy. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. On that note, let's get up out of here.
Get your lick back. If a nigga gon' do something, ain't no shit.